Well, happy Monday morning, everyone, and welcome back. Perhaps I should say welcome back to me. I've been gone for several days. My wife and I took a few days off and went to Branson, Missouri to celebrate our 46th wedding anniversary. I'm so young, I must have been married all my life. Anyway, had a great time, as usual, there in Branson. Got to see a lot of my family, got to see my daughter and son-in-law and grandkids. Just really had a great time. My name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma. This is what I call my morning musings. We're currently investigating the eschatology of the parables of Jesus. I have suggested to you that Jesus' parables are paradigmatic. They control the storyline of all New Testament eschatology, and they in turn are based upon the Old Covenant promises made to Old Covenant Israel. For instance, in Matthew chapter 22, Jesus told a parable of a man who made a great wedding feast for his son. He sent out his servants to call those who had been invited. Who was invited? Whose promise of the wedding, who did that promise of the wedding belong to? Well, let's see here. In Isaiah chapter 62, and this is in the historical context of Yahweh divorcing the 10 northern tribes because of her spiritual adultery, and yet, fascinatingly enough, God had also said that Judah in the last days would be divorced just like Israel was, and God would remarry the whole house of Israel. But you see, God could not divorce and destroy Judah initially. Why? Because of the promise of the Messiah. And so, God made a promise that the time was coming. It would be after the divorcement of Israel, and it would be in the last days, Hosea chapter 2, 18 and following, but God would remarry the whole house of Israel. That's what's included in Jeremiah 31, 29 and following, God making the promise of a new covenant. He said, I'll make a new covenant with the whole house of Israel, with Judah and with Israel. But you see, in order to make a new covenant, the old covenant had to pass away. It was critical, absolutely necessary. So in Isaiah 62, Yahweh is divorcing Old Covenant Israel. But in the promise of the remarriage, it is inclusive of Jerusalem. Oh, this is incredible. Watch. Now, for time's sake, I don't have time to read the entire chapter. But Isaiah chapter 62, the Lord said, For Zion's sake I will not hold my peace. For Jerusalem's sake I will not rest until her righteousness goes forth as the lamp. I'm going to skip down now. I hope you'll take the time to read the entire chapter. You shall be called by a new name. You will be a crown of glory in the hand of the Lord, a royal diadem in the hand of your God. You will no longer be termed forsaken, nor shall your land anymore be termed desolate, but you shall be called Hephzibah, and your land Beulah. Well, what in the world does Hephzibah mean? It means married. Okay? For as a young man marries a virgin, so shall your sons marry you. And as the bridegroom rejoices over the bride, so shall your God rejoice over you. Well, when would it be? Well, let's go down to verse 10 and following. Go through the gates. Prepare for the people. Build up the highway. Take out the stones. Lift up a banner for the people. Indeed, the Lord is proclaimed to the end of the world. Say to the daughter of Zion, surely your salvation is coming. Behold, his reward is with him, and his works before him, and they shall call them the holy people, the redeemed of the Lord, and you shall be called sought out, a city not forsaken. Well, you see, this is not about Jerusalem historically. It's about the 10 northern tribes. But God projects to the time of the coming in judgment that includes Jerusalem. Zion. When would this take place? Now remember, over here in Matthew chapter 22, Jesus is talking about the destruction of Jerusalem. But Isaiah 62 is talking about the glorification and the remarriage of Jerusalem. That's because Judah had to be divorced in order to be remarried. That's right. Just like Israel was divorced in order to be remarried. When would it take place? Isaiah 62, behold, your salvation is coming. His reward is with him, and his work before him. Okay, let's go to Matthew 16, 27 and 28. The Son of Man will come in the glory of the Father with his angels, and shall reward every man according to his works. Isaiah 62, the coming of the Lord with his reward to reward men for the wedding. Matthew 16, 27, the coming of the Lord in judgment and in reward. When? Verily I say unto you, there are some standing here which shall not taste of death until they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Folks, we don't have any 2,000-year-old people walking around today waiting on the coming of the Lord for the wedding. When would the wedding take place? In Matthew 22. The Lord would send out his armies. He would slay those wicked men. He would destroy their city. And then, guess what would take place? The servants were sent out into the highways and the byways to call anyone and everyone into the wedding. The wedding would take place in direct conjunction with the destruction of Old Covenant Judah and Jerusalem, i.e., the unfaithful harlot wife. That destruction took place in AD 70. We're not waiting for the wedding, folks. Just like Isaiah 62, just like Matthew 16, 27 and 28, posited the coming of the Lord in judgment for the wedding, the coming of the Lord in the first century generation. The wedding took place at the time of the destruction, the divorcement of Old Covenant Judah and Jerusalem. Hey, look, you really need to get a copy of my book, We Shall Meet Him in the Air, The Wedding of the King of Kings. This is one of the most extensive developments and discussions of the wedding motif that you're going to find, and it demonstrates without a shadow of a doubt that the wedding of the Lord, at the coming of the Lord, took place at the fall of Jerusalem in AD 70, and that the fall of Jerusalem was absolutely essential for the remarriage at the coming of the Lord. Go to my website, eschatology.org, BibleProphecy.com, order the book, say that you saw the offer on YouTube or Facebook, and I'll refund your shipping. Hey, thanks so much for joining me for this morning's Morning Musings. Lord willing, we'll see you on the flip side.